One of these men will build a fortune without lifting a finger, while the other will spend 20 years working at it and still fall behind. They both start with the exact same amount of money, but 20 years later, one of them is financially free, and the other is stuck in something he thought would create that freedom. I compared two of the most common ways people try to build wealth: real estate and passive investing. And the results completely changed how I think about passive income. Meet Blake and Alex. They're both 35, and they both have $50,000. Same starting point, but completely different strategies. Blake goes all in on real estate. He uses his $50,000 as a down payment on a $250,000 property, takes out a 30-year mortgage at 7%, and ends up paying about $1,330 a month. He rents it out for $1,800. On paper, it looks like a solid deal: positive cash flow, leverage, and a tangible asset. Blake feels like he's making a smart move. Now, Alex takes a different approach. He opens a Roth IRA, invests the $50,000 into a low-cost total market index fund, and sets up an automatic contribution of $300 a month. That's it. No tenants, no leverage, no extra responsibilities, just consistency. In the beginning, Blake feels like he's ahead, while Alex feels like he's barely doing anything. But that perception doesn't last. For the first few years, everything works for Blake. Rent comes in, expenses are covered, and he's left with a few $100s each month. He feels in control, and the tax deductions make the investment look even better. On the surface, it seems like a win. Meanwhile, Alex hasn't made any changes. His investments continue automatically, and over time, his account grows to around $80,000. No extra effort, no stress. But this is where things start to shift. Blake's passive income isn't really passive. It involves tenant communication, maintenance issues, late payments, and unexpected repairs, often taking up 10 to 20 hours each month. It's time that isn't reflected in the numbers. Then around year 7, a major expense hits. The HVAC system fails, costing $7,000 and wiping out a significant portion of his profits. A couple of years later, the roof needs repairs, costing another $8,000. These are the kinds of costs that don't show up in the initial projections. By year 10, Blake's property has appreciated, and he has about $175,000 in equity. That sounds impressive, but after accounting for repairs, vacancies, and ongoing expenses, the actual financial progress feels less significant. At the same time, Alex has continued investing consistently. After 10 years, his Roth IRA is also worth about $175,000. Financially, they're in the same position, but their experiences are very different. Blake is managing constant issues, while Alex has remained completely hands-off. Now, here's where the comparison becomes even more interesting. Over the next 10 years, the gap between these two approaches becomes clearer. By year 20, Blake's property is worth around $500,000, and his remaining mortgage is relatively small, leaving him with about $450,000 in equity. Including his total cash flow, his overall gain comes to roughly $510,000. On the surface, that looks like a strong outcome. Now consider Alex. With the same starting point and consistent monthly investing, his Roth IRA grows to over $500,000. At first glance, the results look similar, but there's an important difference. Blake's equity isn't fully accessible without selling the property. And when he does, he faces capital gains taxes and depreciation recapture. Those taxes can reduce his total profit by tens of thousands of dollars. Alex, on the other hand, can withdraw his money tax-free, assuming he meets the standard Roth IRA requirements. That means every dollar in his account is his to keep. So in practical terms, Blake may end up with around $450,000 after taxes, while Alex has over $500,000 tax-free. And if Alex had increased his monthly contribution to $500, his total could approach $600,000. For Blake to match that, he would likely need to take on additional properties, along with more risk and more responsibility. To be fair, real estate can outperform in certain situations, especially with strong market conditions or effective management, but it's not truly passive. In the end, this comparison isn't just about returns, it's about lifestyle. Real estate can build wealth, but it often requires ongoing time and attention. A Roth IRA, on the other hand, allows your investments to grow in the background. One approach requires active involvement, the other gives you back your time. So the real question isn't just which one earns more, it's what kind of life you want to build. Do you want to manage properties, or would you rather let your investments grow while you focus on everything else? Let me know in the comments, which path would you choose?